I mean, it might be even harder than me trying to do a free program right now, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, barf to that. Welcome back. We are back. It's that figure skating show. We are recapping the wonderful events of Skate Canada that happened this weekend. Psych, it didn't happen. Everything is canceled. You can't go outside. Do not eat on a patio. Don't eat in a restaurant. Don't do anything. Sit still. Sit there. Stay inside.
Well, we are actually going to be putting on our analytical hats and pretending to be serious people. I'm actually going to go ahead and say we're going to try and go a full episode without dropping a pun.
I mean, that's very possible for me, but are you going to be okay?
I don't know. I might start convulsing by the end, but let's see what happens. It'll feel like, I mean, it might be even harder than me trying to do a free program right now, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, barf to that.
Yeah, so we're going to put on our analytical hats and we're going to break down our national team and talk about what these skaters are going through, how they're doing in practice, how they stack up against the rest of the world, and what the rest of the season might look like for them. Let's recap the national team. So in the men, we have Roman Sadovsky, Nam Nguyen, and Keegan Messing. Last year was a very exciting national championships. Roman Sadovsky won his first national title, coming off a great season. I would imagine was really excited to build his momentum from that season moving into this year. Really difficult to pivot. Really, really happy to see the way Roman's grown. I've always had so much faith in his abilities. Really excited to see these three go at it again. Nam's always consistent. He's grown a ton as a person and as an athlete. Really taken charge of his career a lot more on the personal side. He has more ownership of his skating, and you can see it in the way he skates. He has a lot more confidence. He looks like a seasoned veteran out there, like a man. And, we've always seen him before as like a young boy phenom, and now he's kind of, one of the older guys with a lot of experience, and I think he's handling it beautifully. Keegan is the only Canadian skater we've seen compete this season so far. He did a great job in Skate America, getting a bronze medal, our lone medal for the season, all right, or for this part of the season. Looking really polished, actually. Considering everything going on, he did a really good job keeping his programs, and that was a great call, I think, in my opinion, because they seem to look even more settled. Yeah, I'm pumped to see these three go at it again when they get a chance.
National team for ice dance. We have Piper Gilles Paul Poirier, Marjorie Lajoie, Zach Lega, Caroline Soucis, and Shane Fierce. And last, Laurence Fournier-Baudroy and Nikolai Sorensen. Starting off with Piper and Paul, having a pretty good Grand Prix season last year with two beautiful programs, qualifying for the Grand Prix final, winning a Grand Prix. They've kept both programs, trying to keep up their motivation. And again, Skate Canada was taken away from them. So I'm assuming that they will be submitting a video for the challenge event for nationals to possibly happen in February. Excited to see where they're at. Marjorie and Zachary are very, very young team, very spunky, very energetic, really love their energy. They performed amazingly at this year's Four Continents, really killing it in the short dance. I feel like during this pandemic time, even though we don't have events, I think this is a really good year of, working on deficiencies and making it a really good training year. So it's going to be interesting to see how much they can grow and catch up to the other bigger teams. Carolyn and Shane have made a coaching change and are actually here in Toronto with Caroline and Yuris Razgulaevs and my former coaches. I think moving from Gadbois, which is a huge training facility with all the top skaters in the world there, and then moving to also a high caliber club and a training environment, but with the less of those bigger names. It's going to be interesting to see how they develop. And then Laurence Fournier-Baudroy and Nikolai Sorensen were out for most of the last season due to injury. So they were scheduled to compete at this Worlds coming off of that injury. So this will actually be an advantage for them, to get back onto the ice, retrain themselves for future competitions, for nationals. We'll see what they bring with their programs.
All right, so moving into the pairs, we have only 2 teams on our national team, Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marinaro, Evelyn Walsh and Trent Michaud. So Kirsten and Mike, last year was a fantastic season for them. They were riding high, really excited for Worlds. They were barreling into Worlds with a chance to medal. Very difficult for them to have the World Championships taken away from them. They are a team who really enjoys skating together. So while not having the competitions is very challenging, I know that they've been doing okay with training. So I think they are a team who are going to be able to pivot during this time and manage it as well as possible. And I'm really pumped to see, where they're going to be at the next time we see them in a competition. Evelyn and Trent, also coming off a great season. They were looking really good going into the World Championships. Also disappointing for them. They are a bit younger, but they're no longer just a young team. They've been around a bit longer. They have some more experience. I think this time away from competition is going to be very useful for them to work more closely on their details and kind of create that special sauce that takes a team from being there to being at the top. And I know that their coaching team is going to be focusing on these details. They're very innovative with their lifts and their entrances and exits out of elements. So their consistency has never been a problem. So it's going to be great to see what they do with this time and how they maximize it to make sure that they are ready to show improvement and growth and maybe a new version of themselves at the next competition.
In the women, we have a very, very young team. Emily Bausbach, 18, Allison Schumacher, 17, and Madeline Skizis, 16. Emily Bausbach, our national champion, was very much looking forward to, seeing her more internationally. And I know the selection process for Worlds was so tight for the women because none of them who had the medals at nationals actually had a high enough international score to qualify for Worlds. So there was a scramble to send them all to different international competitions to get it. And I think in the end, Alicia Pinot was actually eventually selected for the Worlds because we didn't have that many spots. But watching Emily Bausbach win nationals and show that she is the top woman for Canada right now, it's going to be interesting to see her grow during the season. Allison Schumacher, a beautiful, beautiful skater, really working on her technical difficulty. I love her flow on the ice and her attack. Again, very young, only 17, so much to grow. And again, we have in the international fields, women bringing that technical heat. So I think for our Canadian women, this is going to be a year to be like, let's work on those triple axles, let's work on those quad jumps, getting those fishbowl lessons in. Madeline Skizis, who was our surprise podium finish at nationals this year with her 3rd place finish. Every time she competes, there's like a fire in her eyes. I work with her. I do her choreography while we were training before I came on for battle. I was just letting her know, like, this again is the year to work on like your little things that you hate doing. So I hope she keeps those take those words to heart and keeps working. I'm hearing good things about the programs from her coach, Nancy Lemaire. So hopefully she's got to continue with that. But yeah, young team, lots to develop. And again, I think this year is going to just be a good year to just get all those things that you don't have and then bring it for the next season.
Yeah, I think it's interesting for these young girls because they kind of, all of them just got thrust into the limelight at nationals, Gabrielle Daleman didn't make the podium. Alicia Pinot was kind of set to win and she didn't make the podium. And these girls kind of just stepped up and fell into these positions of being the national team, being national medalists. And I think you're right. I think this time away is going to be very interesting to see, without that pressure of having to live up to these placements and, justify them at competition. It's not that I feel they have to, but of course there's that pressure, that feeling that athletes go through the first time they place high at a competition. There's that expectation now that they're dealing with that they haven't felt before. So it's going to be interesting to see without that added pressure and how, their skating has matured, how they've matured, and how, they've prepared themselves to be ready to be back on the world stage and prove that they belong there.
This national team as a whole, on paper, it doesn't look like they went with their traditional selection process, which is the top 5 from last nationals. It looks more like they went with everybody who has international experience and medal potential.
But very interesting that Gabby and Alicia aren't on the team because they have been the top 2 performers internationally for Canada. So interesting to see that, interesting to see, how they've made those choices. A very different look for Skate Canada and our national team, a very different process. So interesting to see how things move forward.
So again, looking at the national team as a whole, how do you think we stack up against the international competition? Are we at an advantage with our young team? How does everyone stack up?
Well, it's interesting, right? It's pre-Olympic year. If Worlds happens, then we'll see how we do and in winning those spots. If Worlds somehow doesn't happen again, it's going to be very interesting to see how the ISU and the IOC kind of deal with this and plan for earning, spots at the Olympics. But normally we'd have more competitions to compare ourselves to the rest of the world with, and we don't. It's hard to say exactly how we're looking because half the team or most of the team is new, not like the same generation from the last Olympic cycle. So normally we would see a full 4-year build and we'd be able to have an idea of where we're at. I think we only have half the picture right now, which makes it interesting and it makes it kind of exciting because who knows? And skating can be predictable sometimes. So I think in some ways this is kind of cool. All right, thanks for joining us. That is our episode on the Not Skate Canada this week. Make sure you subscribe to catch all our links. We're going to be back next week with some footage maybe some recaps, maybe some ideas, who knows. For Cup of China, fingers crossed that it happens. It looks like it will. For some more figure skating, yay! Hooray!
Yeah, let us know what you think about the national team, how we stack up in the world, how you think the season's going to go or whatever. And yeah, we'll see you in a week, which will be in 2020 feels like 100 days. So see you soon.
See you soon, a long time from now.